welcome back to Shoogly Chef Motors. I have obviously finished the CB250 RS and I've just put it into storage for the winter, and then it'll go up for sale when the weather gets a bit nicer and people are buying motorbikes. But yeah, I rode it over to the storage place and it was a nice little bike, really fun actually. So it's not the best conditions for really giving it a proper shakedown yet, but it's running really happily and it's sat in storage awaiting a bit of sunshine for a proper road test. Anyway, in the meantime, it's the 18th of December and kind of on the wind down till Christmas, obviously, a week today. However, I can't help myself and I have already taken on a new project. This project is going to push me quite a lot, and it's a pretty quick deadline for a custom bike build. So let's get a little bit more details on it. This is a Yamaha XV750 engine, obviously, and there's a wheel over there, tank on the workbench, some yokes up on the other workbench. We also have swing arm and the frame's just behind it there, and we have the subframe and a bunch of new bits and pieces and a bunch of old bits and pieces, and then wrapped up very neatly. No, it's not a shotgun. It is the forks for this build, which, as you can tell, if I can get them out, are upside down forks. These are from a Honda Africa Twin and they match this yoke up here. So with a front end like this and obviously the matching wheel and a yoke to go with it, no prizes for guessing what we're doing here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a Yamaha XV750 Scrambler build. A dune scrambler specifically. It's obviously dune, talking sand, taking inspiration from sort of desert racing, desert riding, and in particular Moroccan culture as well for a little bit of the design influence. This build has been commissioned by my good friend Tom Hurley of Tom Hurley Custom Motorbike Seats. Now, Tom basically floated this idea to me a couple of months ago and asked if I would be interested in putting this bike together. It was a project of his which he sadly just hasn't really had the time to get his teeth into properly. So with an effort to get a bit more progress on it, he's handed everything over to me and trusted me with the reins to put this thing back together. So obviously it's in bits just now. All the custom kind of fabrication and things like that is yet to be done on this build. So I can't really do any of that with it in bits. So my plan is to assemble what I have here, take note of things that I need to think about or get, and then obviously just begin the process of all the fabrication before we can then go down the route of stripping the bike down again and finishing all the parts and then putting it back together. Make it sound very easy, but obviously if you've watched any of my builds before, there's a lot of work involved there and a lot of episodes to be had. But I think this should be a really cool project. I'm quite excited to get my teeth into it. Obviously I haven't really done a kind of proper big scrambler build like this before. I've done a little XS250 scrambler, street scrambler, but never something that's genuinely intended to ride well off-road. So that's going to be a huge challenge, and obviously with that the front end of the Honda, that should make a big difference. We've got some Cognito Moto upgrades for the rear wheel and brake systems. Yeah, there's some pretty trick parts going in this. It's all going to be wired up with a Moto Gadget kit as well, which is pretty cool. Never wired that before, so I'll be interested to learn with that. The engine shouldn't really need a rebuild. The engine was running really well before the bike was stripped, so it's going to get detailed. We're not going to paint the engine, we're just going to detail it super clean. Maybe blast some parts, maybe some little coatings on some of the covers, but not much else. Aside from that, like I say, I need to get the thing built up before I can sort of take stock and see the lay of the land and then get started. One of the more complicated parts of this build is going to be getting the front end to work with the rest of the bike. So front end is obviously off a Honda Africa Twin, where we have obviously a Yamaha XV750. The yoke has a stem pressed into it, which is made by Cognito for this exact purpose. So I've just mocked it up with the bearings. The bearings aren't greased or anything, but that is, you know, fairly solid. And then the top yoke goes on top like that. And we've got a nut to go on the very top. So that is more or less the triple clamp setup here. And then what we will do is get the fork legs into position. The bike's leaning forward just now just because it's all sat on the engine more or less. But once I get the triple forks, the forks into the triple clamps, move them up, and then we can think about getting, you know, the engine up onto a stand, the front wheel on, and then we'll have the right kind of height for the bike. Good. Okay, so the back end of this bike is getting a major upgrade from the stock sort of cast aluminium and like drum brake assembly. Tom has gone for this Cognito spoked rear wheel, which is very shiny. Ta-da! And this also is a disc conversion. So we've got obviously the hub here takes a disc, and then this side is for the what's the word I'm looking for? Differential, the shaft drive. So that'll go into there, and then obviously we've got the disc on this side, tire, etc. Cognito also produced this brake caliper hanger, because obviously we're converting this now to disc brake. It needs a hanger. So Gonna have to do some jiggery pokery here. Move that out of the way. It's immaculate, this wheel, so I really want to take care of it. Right. Brilliant. On goes spacer and a castle nut. Should pull that all together. So that is pretty cool. Interested to see how it centralizes. Well, I suppose it just looks weird because obviously the swing arm's not symmetrical; it's sort of asymmetrical. But that's going to be pretty cool. That's a trick upgrade right there. Alright, next up is the shock, the monoshock on this bike. So it sits quite neatly up inside the frame, kind of hides away a little bit up here. So let's get in like that. Bolt. Now there is a subframe for this bike here, a bolt on bolt off subframe. I'm going to put it on just now, but pretty sure that we're going to chop this up and modify it. It's not really very good quality. I think it's been messed about with before, but we can do better. So just for mock-up's sake, I'm going to bolt it back on. Last thing is the tank. So Tom's went ahead and dished the front of the tank to allow these forks to fit, but it will still need a bit of figuring out to make it fit well. Right. And then Tom's helpfully as well, from his own mock-up, marked a line here of the height that he wants the tank to go to, which I think is probably about right. Yeah, I like that. So one of the jobs will be to fabricate a tank bracket at the back to keep the tank in that position. Alright, that's where I'm going to leave this sort of project introduction video. It's, like I said, the 18th of December, so we're pretty much not going to get anything else done before Christmas. Maybe some little bits and pieces, but I probably won't get an episode edited or out to you before the new year. Now, I always do a wee Christmas message, so keep an eye out for that. And I am still planning on doing a CB250 RS roundup sort of time-lapse video, but I do need some better weather for getting some riding footage of it, or even just some nice shots of it outside the gloomy shed. But yeah, I'm excited to get started on something new, and hopefully the aim is that this bike will be ready for the show season next year. So it's a quick turnaround, but I'm hoping that it shouldn't throw up too many issues. I'm sure there will be some head scratching, but I'm really excited to try and kind of see this bike, you know, come together in a timely fashion. Anyway, as usual, please do give me a like, leave me a comment, and make sure you subscribe to the Shoogly Shed channel. I will see you in my Christmas message, which hopefully will be out on Christmas Eve. Until then, take care. Goodbye.